Alrighty. So yeah, it means a lot to me to be chatting with you because your team is my favorite Xfinity team.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I I saw your team race for the first time last month when I attended my first Xfinity race, and I saw the red and white number 4 car on the racetrack.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I have a list of questions that hopefully you have the answer for, and there's about maybe 40 of them.
Okay.
Alrighty. So where are you originally from?
Kenney, South Carolina.
Nice. Is that a good place?
I like it. Born and raised.
Nice. I'm originally from Estes Park, Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'll have to go there sometime. It's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, what made you get into motor racing?
My father was kind of an outlaw drag racer and stuff, and just been around in race cars and hot rods all my life.
Ah, cool. What was being a race team owner like in the 1980s?
Way different than today. It was way more relaxed. It wasn't a business then. It was something you did for enjoyment. You worked a regular job, actually worked for another race team, and then worked on my stuff at night. Some of the people that worked on the race team, James Hilton's that I worked on, would help work on my car at night. James would let me keep it over there. It was a buddy system. You didn't have any paid laborers to work on an Xfinity car, which was a sportsman car at that time. We worked for a company that you were paid, but it was very poor pay for the hours we worked, for sure.
Ah, pretty cool. What was James Hilton like to work with?
James was a fun guy. He was a funny character. He liked to keep it interesting all the time. Jumpster, so to speak. He just keep it going. He worked you hard, but he was fun to work hard for.
Yeah, he seemed pretty cool. I remember at the Gatorade Duels a few years back, he tried to get into the Daytona 500, and he almost did.
Almost got in there, yes, sir.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool to see. What was the reason your team took a hiatus between the 80s to 2003?
I got divorced and had to go raise my children.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. I went through a
family preference came into play to be sure my kids got raised right.
Yeah, that's good on you. I kind of know what divorce is like. My parents divorced a few years back. That's tough. Yeah, what was the main reason you restarted the race team?
I always had plans of doing it, but the main reason was to race my son Curtis.
Ooh.
To get him back involved in it. He was already involved, raced all his life. Get him involved in the business, get him hands-on experience. I wanted him to know that life. Actually, that business racing was growing in that era, and you were making decent money as an employee. And it was something I could train him instead of him going to school, which he chose not to go to college. He wanted to race.
Alrighty. That makes a lot of sense. And what was working with Morgan Shepherd like?
Morgan Shepherd's a great guy. We all have our different ways of how we get things across.
Ooh.
And sometimes we think people are hard to understand, and some people never stay around Morgan long enough to understand him. He's a very dedicated to the sport of racing, NASCAR. He's still trying to be in the business as a car owner now. But it was a fabulous time. He was serious about his racing. When he put a helmet on, it went from fun factor to let's go race hard.
That's really awesome. Yeah. I have tremendous respect for Morgan. He always seems like a cool guy.
Yes, sir.
What was working with Jason White like?
Jason was a good guy. Jason was a good racer. It's just things never worked out money-wise to keep him in the car. He's still in the sport, in the marketing end of it. And, I even drove in my earlier days on dirt races, local races and stuff. And you find out where your real niche is and where you can be the most important to help the sport grow, because bottom line is we all care about the sport and making a fair living.
Ah, cool. That makes a lot of sense. What was your reaction when Curtis Davis led your team's first laps in Busch Series competition at Phoenix?
Well, I'm not an emotional person in that respect, or go clapping in the sky or anything like that. Clapping hands kind of guy. It was well deserved. It was something we hoped to do more of together that we didn't get to do that way. But it was exciting, to know you were the main reason behind that car that was leading the race.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. What was working with P.J. Jones like at Watkins Glen?
That was amazing. He was a very fast road racer, hard on equipment. You really needed good stuff for him, but he was very fast.
Yeah.
Super fast on road races.
Yeah, and he's the son of Parnelli Jones, I believe. So I'm not
correct.
So I'm not quite surprised about that.
Yes, sir.
What was PJ's reaction to blowing an engine early on in the race?
I hate to say it, but it's typical race car driver. Told me if you get another opportunity, I'm going on down the road.
Alrighty. That makes a lot of sense. And what was working with Eric McClure like?
Eric's a very good, well-educated gentleman in the sport. He had a different perspective, and he tried to take racing to a neater, cleaner level with him and being more professional. He was probably the first one in our organization we had as a driver that tried to professionally help our image instead of the redneck, baggy clothes and not looking good. He was spot on. I very respect what he had and what he brought to the table. We wouldn't be where we are today without some of the things we were able to learn from that relationship as well and his partners.
That's great to hear, and it's great to see that a guy like him can have an impact on a good team that's good.
Yes, sir.
What was the reason you selected J.R. Fitzpatrick for the 2007 road course races?
I had met J.R. through Ben Barnes at Barnes Racing Engines in Asheville, North Carolina. Ben Barnes did their Canadian engines for the Cash Car Series. It was very successful. They wanted to break into this series and have JR run some Xfinity races. And it was just a fit that happened one day when we were, JR and them, they had a guy, I can't remember his name, drove their other car, but he'd come and pick engines up sometimes, and he was there, and we got to talking, and we worked still out, to take him and run him a few races and see if they wanted to go that route or not. JR was a heck of a road course racer as well. I didn't get to work with him on any ovals. He was very fast, hard on equipment, but he would have been very good had they found proper funding to continue on.
Alrighty. Were you at the 2007 race in Montreal?
Yes.
What was your reaction to the controversial and chaotic finish with Robbie Gordon and Marcus Ambrose and a few other guys?
Well, the way I look at that and have looked at it, whether we agree or disagree, we're sort of racing under the NASCAR. We're not sort of. We are racing under the NASCAR banner, and what they say goes, and there's nothing you can do about it. We just move forward and try and work with it, learn from it, and be sure we don't have that kind of issues with any of our drivers.
Good on you, man. That's very respectful. I respect that view. That's great. Good on you, man. What was being a team owner at Mexico City like?
It was different, for sure. 2 of the 3 years we raced there, I actually helped drive my transporter off down there, seen a different country, rode on some really rough roads, experienced it firsthand, flying in and driving in as well. Very challenging. I'm proud that I was able to be a part of that experience, but I'm also proud we don't go back there anymore and have to take our equipment in that country and try and get in and out of there.
Yeah, I kind of noticed on the map that Mexico City is quite a bit of ways away from the border, so that must be tough to drive all the way down there.
Yeah, it wasn't. The drive wasn't horrible with 2 drivers. They had stops scheduled in there that worked out. It was very organized. NASCAR done an extremely well job of getting us in and out of there and having everything lined up, with our secretaries to get the right paperwork for us to go in and out. It's just, I have a lot of friends that are Mexicans. I do business with some.
Yeah.
But at Mexico City is just not where I felt like we needed to be, but that's my opinion.
Alrighty. I understand that opinion and I respect it. So, how did your team's relationship with Mike Wallace start in 2010s or so?
Mike was out of a ride, and we had Danny O'Quinn in the car, and we were short-funded. NASCAR was short on fields. We were trying to do a starting part, and I asked Mike to do a few starting parts. We kind of mutually agreed to figure out how to race together. He had talent. He had a name. He had the look. He was very respected in the garage and with the media. And I'd have to say Mike took my team further with his abilities and his connections than any other one person did at one time.
So he kind of took you guys to the next level?
Yeah, he took us to where we really got respect from media. Media noticed us, started talking about us, interviewing. And Mike's just a stand-up guy. You couldn't ask for a better person.
That's great to hear. And did your team have any sort of partnership with Jimmy Means' team when Wallace drove one single race for them in 2009?
No, sir. We didn't have a relationship with Jimmy. Although Jimmy and I are great friends, we did not have a relationship.
Alrighty, so that was separate from you guys then. Alrighty.
Yeah.
What was working with Jeremy Clements like?
Their family did engines, and Jeremy's a great driver as well. Just funding's never lined up for them to go to the next level. I really don't know what to say other than he's a talent, and unfortunately in our sport there's a lot of talent, and Jeremy's one of them.
Yeah.
That can win races. He's won a race in his family's car. But it's more about funding and what you can bring to the table now than it is how good a driver you are.
Alrighty. Yeah, that kind of, I've seen there's a lot of talents in the sport that if they had the proper equipment, would actually be a winning car. They just don't get the opportunity like it used to be,
Yes, sir.
What made you select numbers such as 01 and 04 for your nationwide cars? What's the significance of those numbers?
The numbers were 0 and 00. I had 4 in the 80s when Joe Henry Thurman drove. That was his number on the short tracks.
Ooh.
And we adopted it and ran it on the speedways when he was running the short track races out of his pocket, and we were running the mile and mile and a half races, Daytonas on our deal. We switched over to the number 4.
Ah.
We originally was 00 or tried to be 00 because of Freddie Smith, who was a local dirt racer from Gaffney, and Charlie Blanton was 0. So 0 was because of Charlie Blanton, and when we were 00 it was because of Freddie Smith, this local hometown boys that done good from the Gaffney, South Carolina racetrack and area.
Ah, alrighty. That makes a lot of sense. Sounds like a pretty good number, I'll say. So what was John Middlebrook like as the chief appellate officer for NASCAR?
He was good. He did a great job. We had some conversations. He worked hard for the sport, making the sport get better. He was a good part in making things better within NASCAR. I was very honored and proud to have worked with him.
Pretty cool. That's good to hear. And what was working with Brad Teague like?
Brad was a heck of a racer. He got a lot out of stuff back in the day, many years ago in the 80s. I mean, he won races with the Food Country car. They had good times. As he got older and Food Country chose to go a different way, we were able to work with him and run some races. He did us a good job.
Good to hear. And what was racing at Montreal like in 2010 as a team owner with Mike Wallace?
It was very challenging. We broke a track bar that race. And I repaired it and never lost a lap.
Ooh, wow.
That track was I repaired it under caution. It broke when the caution come out.
Oh.
And he was able to keep caught up. We went behind the wall, and I took and wedged a 3/8 drive ratchet in between the bar and welded it together.
Awesome.
Without losing a lesson.
We
were pretty innovative that race, you know?
Yeah.
We didn't have spare parts back in the day. We had to just make it work.
Yeah, and that's very respectful. That's really cool, man, that you can finish it and fix it without losing a lap. That's really cool.
We had a caution. It was a long caution. He got caught up, and we had a welder on the truck. We got it out. We had jack stands ready. We had tools laid there, and when he got in there, the bar was broke. So I just took the ratchet and wedged it in the bar and welded around it. Away we went and finished the race. Had a great time there.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I always liked the Montreal races. They were very unpredictable. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was your reaction to all the action at the inaugural race at Road America in 2010?
It was good. I don't remember when we finished that race, but we had some good runs at Road America. It was a strategy track. You know, we had a lot of cautions at the end of that event, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That track's just got a lot of slow speed corners, and you can't pass from a long part of the racetrack, and people tend to run over each other if they're faster than you in those parts. Made for exciting racing.
Ah, cool. What was your, who is your favorite sponsor that your team has worked with?
Our current Flex Seal, Phil Swift, has been a great guy to work with. He always brings us to his Christmas party, going there this weekend. His products are great. he's always done things to continue to help our team grow, as we're also help marketing his products and his new products he continues to come out with. I'd have to say he's been the best one to work with and the most fun to be around.
That's awesome. Christmas parties are always fun. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
What was your reaction to your team picking up a top 10 finish at Dover in 2011?
Well, it was neat. It was good. We're very excited. There again, like I said a while ago, I don't show a lot of emotion over top tens and leading laps. We still are waiting to win a race, and we hope to do that one day before we leave the sport.
Yeah, and I'm really pulling for you guys because, I would have to say that, that your team deserves to win a race sooner or later because of all you put in the sport. So I'm really pulling for you guys soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. What was working with Lawson Ossenbach like?
Lawson Ossenbach. He is a tremendous guy. He and I go back to when I had took my break from racing. I got into building and manufacturing racing go-karts. And met Lawson at a WKA race, and I was building and selling twister racing chassis, and they were kind of getting their butt kicked with the Coyote chassis. And we worked out a deal and got him on a go-kart, and they actually won races instantly. He became a tremendous road racer. He's good in the sports car series. He runs in Trans Am and all. They win over there. And then we had an opportunity through Justin Marks and his partnership to do some things with Lawson. And it was a fun reunion and to be around his dad and his family. And he's a great racer. We may hopefully get to work with him some more this year at some road courses.
Yeah, that's really cool. He seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yes, sir.
What was your reason for selecting Ross Chastain as your driver a few years back?
We just watched Ross, and Dave Buggs had mentioned we needed to watch him. Dave was working for me at the time. And Ross was a fast racer. He'd done some work racing for Tory. I watched him run Mark Smith stuff at Homestead, and we approached him about talking. We were actually hoping he had more money than he did. Unfortunately, he'd spend all his money, the majority of his money in those other years trying to get noticed. And he got noticed by a lot of people, and we took him on with very little money, and we honed his talent, and he helped us grow because he was a hard racer as well.
Awesome. Did the watermelon sponsorship come from Chastain or something?
There was very little watermelon money there. There was some that did come with Chastain and goes with him wherever he goes. The deals with Dover and New York was about 20%. The money we sold, it was deals that my marketing department come up with and slogans, and Ross only had the capability of putting the watermelon slogans on a decal on the watermelon to the grocery store chains. But they had tried to do that for many years, but Tony Pescaro, my head of marketing, was the first one that was ever successful at selling that program to anybody. We sold that program and made it work. Ross and them just were able to put stickers on watermelons.
Awesome. That's great to hear. What is working with Scott Lagasse Jr. like?
Well, we only worked out one race with him. He does a good job. We didn't get the finish we would have liked to have had, but he done a great job. We pushed the car in the trailer after the race. Didn't have to do any work on it to go to Daytona or Talladega the next race. He's interested in continuing the race and do those things at certain speedway races. A great family, his dad and and all came, and we had a good time. There again, it's just about so much money is needed to do what we do and keep all these people in the seat.
That's great to hear, and good to hear, man. And what made you select the number 15 for one of your cars this year?
That was all that was available.
Alrighty.
I didn't want to get a real high number. I like to stay with low numbers. And that was the lowest number that was available when we wanted to do that fourth program.
Alrighty. Were you at the autumn race at the Xfinity race at ISM Raceway last month?
Yes.
I was at that
You're
race.
talking about which race now?
The race in Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
I was at that race, and that was the first time that I saw your cars on the racetrack.
Yes, sir. I was there.
Yeah, and it was a very pretty sight to see your race cars on the track for the first time, because that was a first for me.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Have you worked with any foreign race car drivers next to Catherine Legge or whatever that's pronounced?
Catherine Legge is the only foreign race car driver we've worked with.
Alrighty.
We've had conversations with others, but nothing ever panned out.
Alrighty. How did you get the Safeway sponsorship?
Trying to remember which one that was on.
I might need to look it up very quick. But your car, yeah, let me look it up very quick.
It was a grocery store, wasn't it?
Yeah, Safeway grocery store, yeah.
Where were they on at?
I'll have to look it up very quick. It was on Joe Nemechek's car, I believe, at Bristol.
Then that might have been a deal Joe Nemechek brought to us.
Alrighty. Which road course track do you like going to best between Road America, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, and Montreal?
Road America.
I always like that track as well. That's a good choice, I'd have to say.
Yes, sir.
What was working with Mike Skeen like at Watkins Glen?
With who, sir?
Mike Skeen.
It was a fun time. He done us a great job. We actually called on him because we didn't have anyone we felt like could get the job done and do what we needed. Great person.
Good to hear. What was your reaction when Ross and Justin Allgaier went at it at Watkins Glen earlier this year?
This is going to cost a lot of damn money.
Yeah. That's kind of tough, yeah.
You know, with Ross already left us, I would have hoped him and Justin had a store to sell. They would have settled it off of the track instead of tearing up equipment to both of them. You know, but when you're buckled up in them cars in Justin's defense and you're in the heat of the battle, and you've had issues with that driver in other races, you tend to forget whose car he's in. You know, for the most part, there's nobody in the sport, even though we do it. Sometimes the drivers do it. We want to cost the car owners any money. There's nobody in the sport that wants that to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes our sport breeds a little anger and makes you go at it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, man. That's a respectable view. I'm with you on that. What made you pick Stephen Light as one of your drivers for this year?
Stephen's from Asheville, North Carolina. Originally, he lives in Mooresville now. That's only about an hour from my shops. You know, he won a race. He was a good racer. He was kind of trying to get back into the sport, and we were looking at helping someone and someone trying to help us. And we built a little relationship that I believe is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I heard about some of his rough period that he went through when he was out of the sport. I've kind of heard about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of went through a little bit of a rough patch a few years back around the same time that he did. But I'm glad to hear that he's doing better and is with a race team again.
Yes, sir.
Do you think your team will win a race sometime in the near future on the pace that it's running?
We're definitely improving every year. We've got drivers that are continuing to get better. It seems like once we get a driver in place and we're on that path to be good, somebody snags them from us and that takes them to the next level instead of us being able to find money. And I don't begrudge people moving on so long as they're respectful in how they move on.
Makes a lot of sense. And this is my last question on the list before we conclude, but what is your favorite classic film involving motor racing?
I guess it would have to be Days of Thunder.
Yep. Most of the people I've asked have said that, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Thank you so much, man, for making the time for me.
Yes, sir. And you have a great day, okay?
You too, and I'll let you know when my ebook comes out.
Let me know, sir. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. That turned out very well. And I will keep doing this in the future. Great guy, great experience.